Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Witch Watch Season 1, Episode 5. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So the first story revolves around their teacher, Yuri, and specifically Kakumi. How we find out that Kakumi is a massive fan of this particular manga. In fact, she's kind of a kind of fanfic artist for it because this creator of this manga kind of opened it up to people to do their own fanfic stuff for it, and kind of really leaned into it, and it's made the series super popular. But obviously, Yuri's a massive otaku, but she's like, oh, who is this person? Oh, Kakumi's got 10,000 followers. That narrows it down because she's like, I've looked at all the different, especially the more viral fanfic art from this series. So it's like, well, I've got to find out, and looks through it and finds out, oh my god, she's actually my new favorite, most recent favorite fan artist. So it's like, oh man, and now she's feeling conflicted because once again she's trying to hide that she's such an otaku. And I mean, I guess it makes sense because once again, being an otaku is not a good thing. You don't want to advertise that, especially when you're in such a position as a teacher. You want to try, I mean, since the first episode, she wanted to try and seem as cool. No, not the first episode. The second episode, she wanted to seem. Wait, was that the first episode? I don't remember now. But no, I think it was the second episode. She wanted to try and seem as cool as possible. But now it's like, but everyone kind of sees like, no, you're not as cool as you think. They might not know the whole otaku angle of it, but still. And her just so embarrassed. And I even love the little breakdown when she's just talking about how going over the nuances of Kakumi's art and how it's advanced, and just I love how the audio is on double speed and stuff like that. I love how that was done. And then Kakumi comes over and she's just like, all right, try to calm down, Yuri. Don't get too excited. Don't let her know the truth about you. And she's trying to hold back because she's just seeing her art and everything. She's like, I'm trying not to I even love that sequence when she saw her art, when she was presenting something, and then the laser beams shot from Yuri's eyes and went straight through Kakumi's head. But Kakumi's like, I know you're a fan, right? Because she's like, you quoted something from a manga, and it's like, oh, you even have that very manga that I was referencing. It's like, oh, someone gave those to me to read or whatever. So, but the fact is that Kakumi wears her otaku flag proudly because she's like, oh, I'm a super otaku. And then Yuri's like, wait, you call yourself that? Because no, it's like, right, because she even said right, I need to control this because basically oh, people hide their otaku-ness. No one wants to be an otaku on blast because you're gonna be looked at a certain way. But Kakumi's happy about embracing her otaku-ness because she's like, I love manga and it makes me feel good to kind of embrace and love the thing I love kind of publicly. She doesn't like having to hide it, so she wants Yuri to do the same. It's like, so do you love this? It's like, she's like, I want to talk about with you. And it's like, I do too. And it's like, okay, why didn't you say you're a fan from the beginning? I was like, that was actually, that's just kind of very sweet and wholesome ending to that. And at the very least, you're hoping that Yuri going forward would feel a little bit better about she won't have her otaku-ness erupt. She'll probably still try to keep it from the rest of her students, but it's probably a thing of, well, literally everyone else knows too. Because even Kara was trying to keep it on the down low, but obviously when it came to Kokomi being an otaku, because Nico was just being super loud about it. She's like, why are you so loud? Because it is the thing, I'm trying to keep it on the down low, especially finding out she's this artist. Because once again, I think the otaku-ness of it is why they're keeping it low-key. But at the very least, Yuri and Cuckoo will have each other that they can fan out and just kind of it's just an episode of otakus feeling seen, and boy oh boy do I feel seen. But next episode involves the next bit of the episode involves, what's the guy's name? Was it Koashi? He wants to the way he was covering up his face initially, I'm like, are we going to find out he has something about his face that he feels bad about, and that's why he wants to not stand out as much. He wants to fall into the background. But Morihito's coming from the perspective of, well, you got to build up courage and face it. But Nico's like, no, I want to help you out. And we find out, she's like, oh, you want to help because you want people to not notice you as much when you go to the bathroom. And Khan and Morty are like, what are you, a kid? But he's like, when he was a kid, he got made fun of because he went to go poop and people gave him nicknames. And it's like, kids suck. And it is sad that would, and it haunted him. And now he's traumatized by it. And the others are kind of like, well, that's kind of understandable. So Nico uses a spell. I think this spell's called, was it Mobliviate? Which I was like, is that supposed to be Mob and Obliviate put together? Because I immediately was like, when I see Mob, I immediately now think, well, Mob is in Shigeo from Mob Psycho. I don't know if that's what that is, but basically it doesn't make you completely disappear, but it basically kind of thins people's perception of you. So it was her way to kind of help him. And it's like, I like people's reaction, like when you activate the spell, when it's just activated and they just kind of go, and then they're like, oh my God, where'd you go? You just suddenly appear. It's like, it's just, I love the effect of it. There never seemed to be well, I was about to say, we never got a backlash to the spell because there typically is a backlash to these spells. But I guess the backlash is because you have to keep your hands in that very specific motion and movement to like, you have to keep that position. So I guess that's supposed to be the downside of it. But he activates it during class and he's got all these different names for like the different phases his stomach is in. Like one was like, oh, you're at the severe point where it goes from like stomach ache to explosion. You know, he's like, yeah, he's about to poop himself. And he activates the spell and he's sneaking around and he's like, wait, how do I open the door? Managed to open the door. But then like, I think it's their gym teacher. He's like, oh my God, he's got strong 5 senses. Even though I've got this spell, he's still sniffing me out. How is he doing this? But then luckily Maury shows up to kind of act as a distractor, and it's like, oh God, thank you, Maury. Even though this might be the most pathetic situation ever, he's like, thank you for having my back. And then he makes it to the bathroom and Kawashi's like, cool, I made it. Wait, how do I drop my pants? He's like, the moment I try to move my hands to drop my pants, they're going to realize, oh my God, I'm the one that left in class. And so he's nervous about it. But then the bell rings. He's like, oh God, class is over. I can do it now. He drops his pants and he's like, drop. And then he just says, drop pants, drop load. And then people come into the bathroom and someone looks in and go, oh my God, the bathroom's occupied. Someone must be in here pooping. And the other guy was like, hey, leave him alone, man. He's like, no, I wasn't going to bother him. Sorry about that, man. And then they leave, which is actually really sweet and endearing because the thing is, dudes are dudes, and even like teenagers and adults, those are very like well-behaved I mean, it might also just be a Japanese thing, but I feel like American like teenagers, even male adults would still be like, oh, someone in there pooping? Like they're just, juvenile people. So, that's what it is. So, but yeah, it actually helped Kawashi in the end. So he's like, oh, like at the end of the day, like it, he does feel better about it, so he won't be needing that spell going forward. So and once again, the most like craziest situation for a spell and the most kind of asinine and just the most like nothing situation of like, I just didn't want people to know I'm going to the bathroom. I mean, hey, I get it. Once again, everybody poops. I get it, but it also like, yeah, it's still kind of an embarrassing thing, especially in high school. Hell, even as an adult, you're like, I kind of don't want to poop when other people are nearby to know that I'm pooping. I get it. It's not that strange, but it's just funny situation to like try and rectify with magic. So I just thought that was fun. But we also learned a little bit more too about Nico's wand that she has. Every new witch has a blue magic stone, and the magic stone turns more and more white as they progress. So like once you become a full-fledged witch, the stone will be completely white. So you're like, So it's just kind of, as she's helping out more people with her magic, it's turning more and more white. So just showing that she's leveling up as a witch. So it's like, that's really neat. And, Nico's happy to help, especially if it helps her grow as a witch. But more so than anything, she's happy just to be of service and help people. And then finally, we get introduced in the third part at the end of the second part, but mainly and throughout the third part, we get introduced to Numi. Was not expecting us to find out. I looking through the intro over and over again, I'm like, oh, well, obviously she's a cat. Still don't know what the other main character is. But I wonder if they're going to end up being a dog. Just because of the dog in the rain thing that's like, coming from like Ibuki's like prophecy. But I was not expecting her to be a witch. I was like, that's interesting. Because I was like, oh, she's definitely got to be like, a cat familiar. Because like, Khan shows up as, a Tengu familiar. So I just assumed. But it's like, no, she's a witch. And she's taking an interest in Morihito. Which I love that situation where like him, Khan, and Nico were leaving. And the teacher was like, oh, can you help with my car? He's like, yeah. He lifts up the car and the cat runs away. And it's like, oh, thank you so much. He's like, no, you need anything? I'm quite happy to help. And some girls are like, could you help pull this tree from, like, go to our house and pull up a tree? And he was like, I'm not a gardener. And they're like, ha 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 ha. And Khan and Nico didn't appreciate that. For one, Khan hates that, like, ogres continue to get, it's like, right, they could turn to me, but he's jealous. He's like, no, they had to turn to an ogre. I thought Nico's issue was it was because some girls were like, oh my god, Morihito. I thought it was jealousy in that regard. It's more so jealousy as a witch being like, I could help too, but they decided to go to Morihito for help. I want to help people. So that was her main motivation by it. But then we have Nemu, who's taking an interest in Morihito because he's an ogre. Because for her, it's like, I want to make him mine. Because she's like, normally witches, they go about like getting small pet animals for familiars. So it is the thing of, how did you manage to get an ogre? Because it's like, oh, feel safe and sound with your pet familiar. But now it's like, oh, feel even more safe with an ogre around. And she's just like, oh, I can't wait to kind of basically make him mine and stuff. So I guess I never thought about that last episode. Khan is working with her, even though he kind of serves as a familiar. I guess like witches only have, I don't know if they really describe like the limit of like, I mean, typically witches usually will only have one familiar, but I guess that depends on which like canon you're using, you know, because I'm sure it's like vampire rules vary from story to story, werewolf rules vary from story to story. So I guess witches are the same way. Because I'm like, I don't think Khan's technically her familiar. He's helping. He's filling in a familiar-esque role, but he's just kind of a friend. Like, Morihito is the familiar when it comes to Nico. Because, like, I mean, to be fair, Nemu, like, she has no interest in Khan anyway because he's a Tengu. Sadly, if he knew, you know, she was thinking that and looking down upon him because he's a Tengu, that'd make him feel even worse. But because she's from a very prestigious family, and she's like, because my family's so awesome, I should have a familiar that matches that, and Morihito fits that bill. And so, thinking about all this, she kind of was in autopilot mode while she was in her cat form, and she ended up following them home. And now they've like kept her, and they're like, she's like, they're asking, is she a stray? Her fur's so good, but she doesn't like being touched by people. She's nervous around men, specifically boys her own age. Like, that's such an interesting, I guess, like, adult men she can, like, let go because it's, like be fine with, because it's, like, an authoritative state. Not in a weird way, but, like, in a just, oh, these are authorities, so I'm fine with that. But if it's boys my own age, it makes me nervous. We saw that when those guys were like, hey, are you looking for someone? And she's like, oh my God, men, and ran away. But also, she doesn't like being touched anybody because, like, Nico tried to touch her, too, and it didn't. She was not happy about that. So, but Morihito's like, oh, as a cat lover, I know what to do. And he starts scratching underneath, like, her chin and stuff and hitting the soft spots. And he's just like, oh, yeah, like, it reminds me of Celine's situation in Trails of Cold Steel. Yes, I know. It's just, I need to just stop calling it out at this point in time because it's just, I'm going to make Trails of Cold Steel references. It's kind of like the Muse and Celine, because Celine's like, oh my God, her pets are dangerous. Because, like, you know, Celine's in a similar boat because she's a familiar of a witch. But, like, there's another person who is very good at giving pets, and she's like, oh, stop it. I'm not an actual cat. I'm familiar. It's different. But she kept getting seduced by all this, which I love that Khan's issue from it was like, oh, my God, here he is seducing cats. Here's cats loving him, too. But, like, she gets so caught up in it. She's like, oh, this is so good. And she's feeling like she's like, oh, the ba-boom feeling. And she's getting it more and more. Which I don't think it's going to turn into a love triangle situation with between Nico, Morty, and Nemu. But who knows? Maybe that will change. I mean, based on the intro, it seems like they will become friends. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like, she has all these human friends. She's cool with people at school, helping out humans. But it's, you know, it's probably going to be nice to be like, oh, my God, here I am with another witch. And it's like, it's a very unique thing that they can understand each other. So I'm sure it's going to be a thing of we're kind of rivals, but Nico doesn't view that as just like, oh, we're friends. And so I'm sure that's going to be kind of their relationship going forward. But the problem is, the more Nemu is like getting comfortable, the more she's about to fall asleep, and her transformation undoes itself when she falls asleep. And she's like, no, I can't let them know, because if they see me transform back, they'll realize I'm a human that got pet. And then I love that she transforms, and then Khan is like, oh my God, it's a human. And she thought she got caught, but they're all preoccupied because Khan is basically, was it the march of evolution? Basically, he's getting all, like, he's he has toys that basically match the that little progression of the humans all the way to Homo sapiens and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, I finally got it," even though it took me like 30 tries. And Morty's like, "Stop wasting your money. We had that whole point because that's the reason why you're staying here because you went through your allowance and you don't have any money. That's why you were like basically freeloading at Maury's place now with him and Nico." But I love that she just sneaks out, and I was like, "Wow, that is just like the dumbest way." I love it that's the just dumbest way that they didn't catch what happened. So they're still completely unaware of her, and they even said it. What I thought was interesting because I was like, "She's not at the school." I wonder, does she ever transfer? Does she not? Because I always think stuff like that is interesting when you have main characters that go to different schools. Not always. We'll see. And is that because they're saying like she's from like she goes to a school like the town over, so she's not from this town, which is interesting because like the thing I think about is like Persona 5, like most of your cast goes to the same school except for Yusuke. He's like the only, well, and Futaba, because like, Futaba is not in high school yet. But yeah, like Yusuke and Futaba are like the only members of your party that don't go to the same school. That doesn't really happen like that. There's little examples here and there, like similarly, because I think everyone, well, with the exception of Teddy, is in 4. But yeah, it's just interesting stuff like that. I would have expected her to be at the same school because like the other main character, I think they are at the school. I think we've seen them. We just haven't gotten a proper introduction to them because I think they're in like the second episode. I think they're just a character that doesn't really have any dialogue, but I think they're there. So I think they're in the same class and stuff. I mean, it makes sense too if they end up being the dog character. I think they are considering like the prophecy being like dog and rain, and the threat's going to be at the school and stuff like that. So I wonder, we're going to find out like, could he be a familiar to another like the bad person, whether it's another witch, whether it's a witch hunter, whatever the case may be. I wonder the reason why they potentially become an allies because they were a familiar to a bad person, but once that's resolved, they become friends with Nico and them. I don't know. Once again, haven't read the manga, so I don't know where the story is going to go. That's just kind of me theorizing. But yeah, just another fun episode. Once again, I think I like these little 3 episode little arcs we get in episodes like this. I even love they talk about it in the outro where they're just like, "Oh yeah, like on the YouTube channel you can find like the witch watch like voice comics," even saying like, "Oh yeah, like this is only made possible because of the staff being able to kind of anime staff doing stuff like that, squeezing these like 3 stories into an episode and their enjoyment of it and stuff like that." It's like, I thought that was really cute. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this. I believe it's just going to be a one-off episode rather than 3. Like, I'm curious to see how many episodes throughout the season end up being like this. Because I feel it's so interesting because I would associate this type of episode with being like maybe at most 1 or 2. But we've had, this is the 3rd episode that's been like this. So it might be a more consistent thing throughout the season of anime. But yeah, like I said, I'm excited to see where things take us going forward. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.